Welcome to Leadership Latum. Today we are going to show you one of the most shocking and dark scandals of our era. The report we have prepared will reveal one of the most perverse mechanisms that Nicolás Maduro's regime orchestrated to steal state funds and be able to use them at a time like this when he must flee the country. With different maneuvers that are coming to light, the corrupt president of the nation of Venezuela put together a network of ties that was bleeding his country. With this scheme, he was stripping his people of their wealth and leaving them mired in one of the worst economic and humanitarian crises in their history, while he accumulated an obscene personal fortune. Since 2013, when Nicolás Maduro assumed the presidency of Venezuela, his regime has been accused of countless cases of corruption. But what is behind these accusations? Today we are going to give you concrete details of the dark businesses that involve his son Nicolás Maduro Guerra, front businessman, and even the legendary Argentine soccer player Diego Armando Maradona. It all started with Chavez, in that episode in 2002, in which he was overthrown and took office again when he was restored 2 days later. In that situation, Chavez understood that he had to have a plan to flee very quickly to some predefined destination and with a sum of money that would guarantee him a comfortable retirement. The commander appropriated at least $40 billion from Venezuelans and distributed them in different secret bank accounts with the complicity and advice of the Cuban government. When he died on December 28, 2012 in Cuba, Maduro and the Cuban government summoned the family to the island to recover the money and distribute it. The efforts were not easy since they had to pretend that Chavez was still alive, and that is why only after recovering the funds were they in a position to announce his death on March 5, 2013, as we explained in a previous report on our channel. The entire process of Maduro's appointment, the appointments, resolutions, and the assignment of his powers were made with Chavez's electronic signature from Cuba and with him already deceased. Nicolás Maduro learned from his teacher, and for years he stole billions of dollars to have at the time when he had to urgently leave power and take refuge in one of the allied countries that could give him security guarantees. It is very likely that Maduro's escape destination will be Turkey, where currency movements would indicate that they have already purchased properties with gold to set up a security structure that allows him to flee and evade justice. In the next report, we will show you the route of gold and money. Subscribe to the channel to receive notification. The agreements would have been made with the president of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan himself, who would have cashed in the favor by demanding the signing of an exclusive agreement to extract gold, iron, coltan, and other minerals in the Orinoco mining arc before Maduro leaves power. He was also awarded signed agreements for the construction of an ammonia refinery and the exploitation of gas reserves. Maduro will save his skin by leaving a Venezuela mortgaged in all aspects. Even though the regime has all the power, the money theft maneuvers cannot be done without the complicity of other people and companies that allow it to be extracted, so to understand the plot, we must first know the main actors who facilitated the operation. Nicolás Maduro, president of Venezuela since 2013, successor to Hugo Chavez, and organizer of the entire plot with the initial advice of the Cuban government. Nicolás Maduro Guerra, known as Nicolasito, son of Nicolás Maduro, involved in illicit financial operations and the shadow operator with a group of frontmen, brothers Santiago José Morón Hernández and Ricardo José Morón Hernández, businessmen who acted as frontmen for Nicolás Maduro Guerra, benefiting from million-dollar contracts for the import of agricultural products and medicines. The schemes of recent betrayals against them are enough for another later report. Diego Armando Maradona, the Argentine soccer icon who, surprisingly, also played his role in this corruption plot. The famous Argentine soccer player who died in 2020 was also known for his great closeness to Cuba and for being a fervent supporter of the Chavez and Maduro regime. Alex Saab, a Colombian businessman with open investigations for laundering and diversion of resources in countries such as the United States, Ecuador, and Mexico, as well as in his own country. Saab was imprisoned in the United States and was exchanged for American citizens detained on various charges to use them as currency. Well advised by Cuban intelligence, Maduro surrounded himself with a select group that has benefited enormously. It is estimated that these dark businesses involve more than $4 billion, with only information coming to light from the period from 2014 to 2018, so it is presumed that the figure is more than double. The diverted funds were distributed among various companies and people linked to the regime. The figure arises from the analysis of leaked contracts and corporate records in Panama, the British Virgin Islands, and other tax havens. When more documentation becomes available, the numbers will undoubtedly grow, but let's focus on what has already been proven and is coming to light: how they did it. millionaire contracts awarded by hand, companies registered in tax havens, and payments in gold. Let's break down how this network worked. The investigation reveals that many of the contracts were paid in advance without verifying the delivery of the products. Some payments were even made in gold, showing the level of opacity and lack of transparency in these transactions. The brothers Santiago and Ricardo Morón, Nicolasito's front men, were responsible for a large part of these operations that were carried out through bank transfers to accounts in tax havens, making it difficult to trace the money. According to the documentation, between 2014 and 2018 alone, Venezuela imported large quantities of corn and wheat from Mexico through the company Comercializadora Colombia, the Agricultural Supply and Services Corporation, CASA, and then the Sole Corporation of Productive and Food Services, COSPAL, managed these imports. Shell companies and traders with little transparency, mainly registered in Panama, were established as intermediaries and benefited from these contracts, obtaining significant profits. These practices allowed a significant surcharge to be charged on purchases, increasing the value of imported products but leaving a large commission along the way. The network simulated that Venezuela was importing agricultural products, food, medicine, or any other element that served its purposes and bought it from ghost companies, which only existed to triangulate the operation or even simulate a non-existent purchase, since there are operations in which no product was delivered but payment was made in advance. Let's look at some examples. Investments. Black 17 Corporation, registered in Panama, this company received $491 million in contracts with the Venezuelan Ministry of Food between 2015 and 2017. The company, which opened a subsidiary in Miami in 2015, was used to import products such as corn, soybeans, and coffee, with payments sometimes made in gold bullion. Farfalla Overseas Corporation. Founded in 2011, this company obtained more than $1.2 billion in contracts for the import of agricultural products from several countries, including the United States, Canada, Brazil, Argentina, and Mexico. Between 2016 and 2018, Farfalla Overseas Corporation managed the import of large quantities of sugar, corn, wheat, and other agricultural products. PSG Paris Corporation. Registered in Panama, this company signed contracts for a total of $160 million for the acquisition of bulk products. The contracts focused on the import of wheat and other products from Canada and the United States. LaGuardia Trading Group Corporation. Registered in the British Virgin Islands, this company obtained a contract for $67.7 million for the importation of medicines. LaGuardia Trading Group Corporation benefited from the lack of audits and controls in the pharmaceutical import process. Diego Armando Maradona, the Argentine soccer legend, was also involved. Through the firm Casillo Commodity Italia Spa, he received commissions for the import of food products. Between 2015 and 2019, this company handled contracts worth $830 million. His compensation was to take advantage of his global popularity to promote the Venezuelan model among his followers. He even had to attend the launch of Nicolás Maduro's campaign as part of the agreements. His socialist preaching was not free. Alex Saab, one of the most sinister and unscrupulous characters surrounding the government, is considered one of Maduro's main figureheads. Saab managed the import of food for the social program CLAP, local committees for self-supply and production, that the government gave in its social programs to the most needy people and those in extreme poverty. Alex Saab provided adulterated, expired, and poor quality food that he placed in food bags. This perverse methodology made Venezuela pay a high price for imported merchandise, but with a modest real cost of its transactions, which allowed it to increase the profits for Nicolás Maduro's personal accounts. Maduro needs Saab very close right now. For this reason, he appointed him president of the International Center for Productive Investment of Venezuela, a position from which he will be able to accentuate collections until the end of his term. Corruption had devastating consequences for Venezuela. While the elite became richer with these corrupt methodologies, the majority of Venezuelans fell deeper into poverty. The country reached an alarming level of food and medicine shortages, which, added to hyperinflation, created an unprecedented humanitarian crisis. While they imported corn as a necessity for their personal businesses, corn production in Venezuela collapsed significantly, going from 2.9 million tons in 2008 to a projected barely 100,000 tons in 2018. It was more important to do business with poverty than promote Venezuelan agriculture. What can we do in the face of so much corruption? First of all, spread the word so that it is a known situation and it is more difficult to hide it. But in addition, we have to understand that what we are showing in this report is not unknown to those who were and are its international partners. The Maduro regime was sustained by the international support of those who made up UNASUR and formed the so-called Puebla Group, who gave support and continue to give it even though they know that the regime has been condemning the entire population of the country for 25 years. The leaders of countries that support the Venezuela model behave as accomplices by remaining silent on these issues. It seems that corruption is a topic that should not be touched on, or worse, these international organizations are created with the intention of covering each other and therefore do not speak out condemning the actions of the Venezuelan government. In some way, it is understandable that they do not speak out. Cristina Fernandez is currently charged, prosecuted, and convicted for causes of corruption in the Argentine justice itself. Lula da Silva was convicted and imprisoned for corruption. Rafael Correa, former president of Ecuador, convicted by the justice system of his country. Evo Morales, convicted in Bolivia. Dilma Rousseff, former president of Brazil, who was removed from office for crimes of responsibility. To all of them, we must add Gustavo Petro, the president of Colombia, who, even when in power, could not prevent the arrest of his eldest son, Nicolás Petro Burgos, for the alleged crimes of money laundering and illicit enrichment. Each and every one of them had and has commercial relations with Venezuela. Could all this be a coincidence, or it is a model that, together with the extraordinary income that China's growth boom produced in the region, tempted the entire political leadership to take their succulent slices? We discussed this topic in another report titled Latin American Progressivism Was a Chinese Tale, and which is available on our channel. Transparency and justice are essential to rebuild Venezuela. The international community observes with great hope that the clamor for Maria Corina Machado and Edmundo González Urrutia can be the peaceful and democratic solution to this regime that consumed itself with so much corruption. This report aims to alert all of Latin America so that they are able to spread the hidden reality and prevent Nicolás Maduro from getting his way. Share this brief report so that it reaches the entire international community and justice can be demanded. Nicolás Maduro was offered the Barbados Agreement as the best alternative to recover true democracy, but despite having signed it, he did not want to comply with its clauses. The offer that Maria Corina Machado is making to the regime is the best proposal they will have. We hope that Nicolás Maduro accepts the electoral defeat in a transparent and democratic way, since if he commits another fraud again, the situation will be much worse, even for himself. In the next report, we will show you the gold exit route, the illegal entry of foreign currency without records, and a corruption scheme that we hope can begin to be reversed with votes on July 28, 2024, and that it will go to the end. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video so that more people know the truth. Leave your comments and tell us what you think of this network of corruption. See you in the next video.